And so that creates an unequal distribution of wealth. What we're trying to do is use this as an entry point for people to begin to understand systemic racism.
And so we want to be that conduit. And so for property owners who want to erase these covenants, they simply make the request online and ask for the assistance. We review the documents to ensure there's a covenant there and review the language. We replace language, take it out, and help assist in filing a new deed.
I work closely with the city attorney's office. It was really fairly easy.
It seemed like such a confluence, right, of everything that we were trying to achieve, and it seemed so perfect that that would be the first covenant that we would be able to erase as part of this project. And so they provided us that deed paperwork, and we went back, looked through the deed paperwork, and have prepared everything for their closing so that they can file that when they close on the building.
It's an exciting opportunity to right historic wrongs.
Commissioners to order of June 20th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Fretham.
Here.
McGuire.
Here.
Moran.
Here.
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Here.
Zhang.
Here.
And Matas Castillo.
Here. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to turn to Commissioner Fretham for the land acknowledgement this morning.
Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to make the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land since time immemorial. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We are standing on the ancestral lands of the Dakota people. We want to acknowledge the Ojibwe, the Ho-Chunk, and the other nations of people who also called this place home. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the treaties made by the tribal nations that entitle non-Native people to live and work on traditional Native lands. Consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events.
Thank you, Commissioner Fretham. We have the agenda of June 20th, 2023 presented for approval. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Fretham.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Moran.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Zhang.
Aye.
And Matas Castillo.
Aye. We have the minutes from June 13th, 2023 presented for approval. If there is a motion.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Sorry. Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Fretham.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Moran.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Zhang.
Aye.
And Mattis Castillo.
Aye. I'm going to turn to Commissioner Fretham for our one administrative item today.
Excellent. I would be happy to move item 3, local approval of Minnesota Statute Section 134.114, Ramsey County Library Advisory Board.
I'd second and would like to speak to it as well.
Yes, absolutely. We have a motion and a second, and I'll open for discussion. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a major change for Ramsey County, and one that I feel very excited about, and really seeing what we can do even more with our library board is in an advisory capacity, and the programming and all of the things that I believe we are going to be able to accomplish as a county and the county library system. And I'm going to let you introduce people as we would like to do that. But I'm the liaison. I guess I should have said that at the beginning. You know that, but the audience doesn't necessarily know it. I'm the liaison to the library board, and it's one of the most sought after positions, as you know, because it is a great group of people that care about our community, care about equity, care about making sure that any services that can be provided through the library system are done so in a very efficient, professional, thoughtful manner. And we have a great library board. I am really pleased to be on it and to be a part of it as we move forward in this new adventure.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Reinhardt. And I know Commissioner Fretham has been an alternate on the library board. Commissioner McGuire served many, many years as the liaison to the library board, and it's really been a great opportunity. This change today really aligns the library board with our vision and values at the county so that we can move forward together in an even stronger way. And I think that the power and the strength in that is really exciting. In the audience today, we have the library board chair, Grace Atkins, who's here to just show their support for this movement, and the library board has worked with us in partnership to get this legislation passed so that we can now move this resolution so that we can move forward. It really has been a highlight to work with Grace and the whole library board on this particular direction and strong collaboration. This is really, truly a positive outcome for our residents in Ramsey County, and so pretty exciting. I'll turn to you, Commissioner Fretham.
Yes, I am also very supportive and excited about this. I actually did a school project last year on how the current structure didn't make sense. If you want to see it sometime. But I have one quibble with the RBA, and that's the piece that says there is no racial equity impact to this proposed action.
Oh.
I think bringing our library governance structure and department fully into our county and our county structure does have a racial equity impact, because it allows us to align our library goals with the goals that we align every day in terms of racial equity and centering that in the work that we do.
Yeah, thanks. Point well made. Any other discussion? County Manager O'Connor.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Commissioner Fretham, we'll make that note, if that's okay, as a friendly amendment piece in the final request for board action, because it does stay with us as a part of the documentation. It's one piece of the rationale. So I appreciate your comments, and we'll add a piece there as a follow-up on the request. I just wanted to second the gratitude and appreciation to the library board and Grace, who's with us here today in particular, for their leadership through what's kind of one of those things that can be Byzantine and confusing in the moment of why a governance structure like this or that. But if you strip it all away, there's a couple of things I think are important just to reiterate. One, this is consistent with where our metropolitan peers have gone over the past number of decades and seen success under a model where we're making sure that our advisory boards are focused on that core service delivery need in different settings. And today you're going to hear from the Parks and Rec Commission. This aligns the library board similar to the Parks and Rec Commission in terms of how it functions and how it works. So it's a good day from that perspective to see some of that. Secondly, COVID exposed so many different things. And one of the things it exposed is how we use libraries look and feel somewhat different than in the past. In some ways than what's come after COVID too, and the politicization of knowledge and books in general has also become a significant issue. And thinking about how we make sure that our libraries remain free and open spaces for everyone, where everyone feels welcomed, is a huge part of our work, while also thinking about ways to do broader service delivery in alignment with those library services. There's so much opportunity as we go forward, so that we know a library may be the first inlet into Ramsey County for some people, and when they come in that door, what are the opportunities we have that day to not only be there from the library perspective, but from the whole county perspective. So we're excited to move forward. We'll continue to update the board as we move forward in our work around climate and culture, and you'll hear a lot more during the budget to come, budget proposals later this year that will continue to show movement forward on that integration into the service team. And thanks to the board and everyone who's been a part of what I think has been a 3 or 4 year conversation, to be at the end is significant.
Thank you, County Manager O'Connor. Commissioner McGuire.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to let you have the last word, County Manager, but I decided I should speak up, and just as the former liaison to the Library Board for many years, as was stated, I think this is a great move in a positive direction. And thank you, Madam Chair, and our County Manager, and Commissioner Reinhardt, everyone who was such a large part of this work, and our legislators who supported this move as well. So just thank you, thanks everyone for this, and our library board, and Joanna Bergen, and Grace, and everyone that we've been thanking. So thank you. I just wanted to say that I also support this move.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Well, if no further comments, we'll go to roll call, please.
Fretham.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Moran.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Zhang.
Aye.
And Modis Castillo.
Aye. Thank you again. I see high fives in the audience. Nice work, everyone. Nice work. We have one ordinance procedure, and that's the adoption of the proposed Ramsey County Commissioner's salary ordinance for 2024. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Fretham.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Moran.
Aye.
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Zhang.
Aye.
And Modis Castillo.
Aye. And now we have our presentation of the Ramsey County Parks and Rec 2022-2023 State of the Parks Report. And I will invite our Director of Parks, Mark McCabe, and Parks Board Chair to the podium. Excellent.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioners. I'm going to turn things over to Greg Williams, who is our Park Commission Chairperson, and I just want to publicly thank Greg for his leadership of the Commission. He's very tenacious, and he has some history with Ramsey County and being an employee of property management for a little while, and so he's shared that inside knowledge as well. But thank you, Greg, for all your leadership, and we'll have you take over the presentation.
Thank you, Mark.
Good morning, Greg. Welcome.
Well, good morning. I'm just going to queue up my notes. I'll be right with you. So, good morning, Chair Modis Castillo and Commissioners. It's another beautiful day in Ramsey County. The goal of today's presentation is to inform the board on the past year's key accomplishments and upcoming challenges within the various divisions of Parks and Recreation. As you know, Ramsey County Parks staff led the legislative work for the metro area park agencies this year. Key achievements included the passage of bills to fund improvements for regional parks and trails, infrastructure, as well as an increase to the regional parks and trails operations and maintenance funding, an issue close to my heart. An ongoing challenge is to continue to advocate for the state to meet their statutory obligation of paying 40% of the maintenance and operation costs for the regional parks and trail systems. The state currently funds around 9%. And as a result, parks and recreation funds are estimated additional our funds an estimated additional $2 million of expenses that the state should be paying for. So we're looking for an increase, a little bit building up our cachet with the state. So we move up on that priority list. Parks and Recreation staff have been working hard to create, let me change the slide. There we go. There we go. Parks and Recreation staff have been working hard to create pathways to employment. Staff have participated in several internship programs to introduce young people to careers within Parks and Recreation. The majority of intern participants have been people of color, which is great as we strive to attract racially diverse individuals into the Parks and Recreation. So, much love to interns for sure. This past year, we partnered with St. Paul Public Schools Early Learning Education at the Tamarack Nature Center. This resulted in 68 separate classes with over 1,300 students attending Tamarack for a nature programming experience. Our ongoing programs like day camp and preschool partnership with White Bear Lake area schools continues to be strong. Parks have been, continue to be strong. Our next one. So, Parks have been growing the number of facilitated programs through staff-led delivery partnerships. Some programs this past summer included archery, fishing, biking, equipment, and staffing were provided by Ramsey County, and there is no cost for participation. Parks also continues to partner with the libraries to offer story trails and a new books and bikes program where participants can check out books and then bike to a space where they'd like to read. Another piece close to my heart because I'm an avid biker, and the idea of biking with a book on one of our trails to a quiet nature spot sounds very inviting.
But not reading while biking.
Right. What's that? Oh,
but not reading while biking.
Paying attention to the trail for sure. Look where you're going. So, attracting lifeguards to staff our aquatics programs has been a recent challenge, as has been the case across the country. I'm happy to report that by increasing our hourly wages and doing more outreach to promote vacant positions, we are fully staffed for 2023. And all of our leadership positions are staffed with racially and ethnically diverse individuals. As you know, we opened the Battle Creek Winter Recreation Area this past winter. We sold a variety of passes to fund the operation and had significant user traffic throughout the season. We had an excellent grand opening attended by several of you, and it was a great opportunity to thank the community advocates for their efforts in making this dream a reality. I am happy to report that we offered a variety of free programs concentrated on serving, ethnically diverse individuals, racially and ethnically diverse individuals, and introduced hundreds of young people to the sport of cross-country skiing. As you can see, partnerships included working with Battle Creek Elementary School, Washington Technology Magnet, Harding High School, and more. We also conducted, for the first time, fat tire bike events at Keller Regional Park, Lake McCairns, and Battle Creek that were a huge success. And these were my projects that I put forward because I felt that fat tire biking is a really easy transition into winter activities, because pretty much everybody knows how to ride a bike, and you get on a fat tire bike and you ride the trails. I partnered with Now Sports and got 20 OTSO fat tire bikes at these events for free use. And we put in trails that were ranged from beginner, flat, to some more advanced trails in these areas. Well attended, 50+ individuals, some brand new and some that were experienced fat tire biking. So that's one of the things that I would really like to promote in Ramsey County. My personal experience growing up in Minneapolis and then retiring to Ramsey County was that I learned 62 years ago how to ski at the Minneapolis Parks and Rec program at Theodore Wirth. And not saying that that's what brought me here today, but certainly was a stepping stone to me enjoying winter activities.
Awesome. Commissioner Sean, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, I have a question about the winter rec programming data too. With the funds that we got for free or reduced passes for the skiing, how widely used was that?
I can speak to that.
Thanks, Mark.
Commissioner John, I would say for the most part, we utilize that through the partnership with the schools that we mentioned. So every school participant, that was a free opportunity for them. And some were single-use experiences and some were multi-day program experiences. We do still have some remaining funding in this grant that we got from the Met Council to be able to provide free or reduced programming for next year as well. So I think it was like a $150,000 grant initially, and I believe that there's roughly over half of the funding remaining for another year, and then we're looking to see if we can reapply in the future as well.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Please continue, Greg.
Okay. Welcoming park signage. Parks recently installed a number of new park signs reflecting the updated park rules from the changes to the park ordinance. We partnered with local artists to produce a series of welcoming art panels for these signs that you see here. On June 3rd, the artist's work was unveiled. Thank you for those who were able to attend. Very beautiful and very welcoming, and represents a change, a departure from the legacy signs that we've had in the past. Natural resources highlights. Our natural resources staff continue to work on a number of initiatives, including removal of diseased ash trees, replacing them with other species, restoring woodlands, and pursuing additional grants to maintain our natural resources. Ongoing challenges include combating terrestrial and aquatic invasive species, planting resilient species as our climate changes, and obtaining enough funding to maintain our system. And as an avid user of Ramsey County parks, I've got to say that this, under the natural resources, they've removed a ton of buckthorn and just cleared out and made beautiful a lot of Ramsey County parkland.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner
I would say
Reinhardt.
probably tons.
That's a big S on the accent.
That's not data-driven, but just my own perception, you know. But yeah, it's awesome. It's really amazing work. Our soil and water conservation team continued their work across the county installing over 70 water quality projects in 2022 to protect water resources, sealing wells, and performing hundreds of inspections and construction sites and at public boat launches to make sure that our soil and water resources are being protected. Not only did they do that, but they developed an app on the phone that you can use for decontaminating your watercraft, your paddleboard on up to boats, and just an amazing piece of technology. Arena operations. Our arena team had a busy year as they led several community engagement initiatives in partnership with local community engagement professionals to evaluate community recreational needs and corresponding improvements at ice arenas. Engagements were conducted surrounding the communities of Aldrich Arena, Highland Arena, and West Side Arena. Parks submitted capital improvement program requests for each of these facilities, 2024-2025 budget that are reflective of what we heard from community. I got to say that from my professional experience as a facility management professional, that what these arenas are faced with changing out the refrigeration is going to be a huge task, and support will definitely be needed. Aldrich Arena, community events and rentals. Here's a fun slide that just shows the possibility and opportunity that exists when we think about our spaces differently. This slide shows a tremendous variety of uses and events at Aldrich Arena just this past year, some new events that will be taking place in 2023. Everything from job fairs to Latinx concerts to Thai boxing to quinceañeras and more. In addition to all this activity, this facility also had over 2,500 hours of ice rentals in 2022. And again, using my background, I really appreciate the ability to be flexible in offering different types of events, so it's not just hockey or skating, you know. Golf course operations. Our golf courses continue to be extremely popular coming out of the pandemic. We did have a later start to the 2022 season as a result of the cold and wet spring, which accounts for the decrease in rounds. But during the months when the courses were open, they were running close to capacity. It was a big rush on the courses. Operational profits from the golf course are used to support other parks programming, such as being able to provide free programming we mentioned in the previous slides. We are excited for the upcoming investments that will be taking place at the Goodrich and Manitou Ridge golf courses in the near future.
County Manager O'Connor.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Mr. Williams, if I could just add one piece to that too. Yes. You know, it's positive to see the trend that we've been seeing in terms of golf. Even as our numbers went up and then came down a little bit last year, the profitability of the course and system have improved over time. And I know the board's been on a journey with that since 2017 around the golf study and what can we do, how do we think about our pricing. It's been in a couple of the budgets. We've been working very hard. We have upgrades coming, as mentioned, to some of the courses. But that slide really shows how our work year over year here has helped to really ensure that our courses are region class. I was going to say world class, but that's a little aggressive. But great courses within this region at different points of access for everybody and in a way that ensures that the portfolio remains sustainable over the long term. So I appreciate that slide, and I just wanted to call that out.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Back to you, Greg.
Okay, planning and development initiatives. Our planning and development team has several projects in the works, including updates to the existing Tulu courts at Keller, playground replacements, trail improvements and extensions, and improvements of our off-leash dog areas. The playground improvements, it's been 20 years since they were upgraded. So that's going to be a big project. And to look at some up-to-date uses, I'm going to be suggesting a few. One would be a bike skills park where they have the rollers and that type of thing. Very inexpensive, relatively, to put in. So I'm going to submit that as a suggestion to our project managers on that.
On that note, have we looked into handicap accessibility in our parks and how we modify the parks for that?
Yeah,
Thanks, Director.
And Greg's seen this presentation with our planning team, came into the Park Commission recently and talked about just playground design, and the group worked through some kind of design practices with an idea iteration with the group. So yeah, and I would say, I'm trying to think of the correct term, because it's not just ADA accessibility, it's like all abilities. Yeah. And so looking at not just what we've kind of traditionally perceived as wheelchair accessibility, but also like sensory development and things like that. So yep, that is definitely within the scope of design.
Excellent, thank you for that. I have a son with autism who loves to swing, and it's very difficult to find swings that accommodate a 200-pound full-grown man, but likes to swing. So thinking about what that looks like is really important.
Sure,
so,
good point.
Thanks.
And if I might add, the National Parks and Recreation Association has developed 7 principles that our project managers are following that incorporate all these different types of aspects so that a wider, more diverse population can enjoy the playgrounds.
Thank you.
All right. Lastly, I'd like to thank my fellow commission members for their service, including members who are outgoing and as well as our new members to the commission. I appreciate the time to present this report. I'm happy to listen to any comments, or we can answer any questions you may have. Lastly, I'd like to just say that 8 years ago, I was building manager for this building, and so grew to love it, and I haven't been back in it since. Just beautiful being here, and thank you very much for allowing me to present.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Greg. I really appreciate it. Any other questions or comments? Yes. I'll start with Commissioner Moran and move around the table.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for your presentation. Because I'm new at this, and when I look at parks and recs, I don't really look at whether they're city-owned, county-owned, or who own them. And so I'm interested in maybe getting some documents of where the county parks are located, and whether or not I may have any in my district, and that first.
Certainly. I can speak to that, Commissioner Moran. Unfortunately, you don't. But there's a arena facility within your district. But yeah, we've got maps that we can send you that shows every piece of park property throughout the county and where those are located. So be happy to send that to you.
Okay, great. One other question. So I think it was a week ago or so, Union Park held a safety walk.
Okay.
Leaving out of Allianz Field. And a part of that was just walking the avenue. And as I was looking at the light rail and the greenery and just the whole process around cleanliness, I participated in a meeting to try to figure out who had ownership of that area of cleaning it up. And it was stated that the park district were the maintenance people for the light rail Could you verify that or talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm not certain who has that responsibility. It is not Ramsey County Parks and Recreation, but we can look into seeing who has that responsibility.
Yeah.
I could answer that. I was Assistant Director of Operations and Maintenance for Metro Transit.
Oh.
So those light rail stations were under my purview. So yeah, if the light rail station's proper, yes, that's Metro Transit's responsibility.
Okay. So, Madam Chair, so maybe if you can help direct me, or maybe you can help finding out how we can get them to do some of that cleanup.
I would be more than happy to help Commissioner Moran. So maybe we can connect after this meeting, and I can offer my assistance in connecting with Metro Transit, the powers that be.
Okay,
Excellent.
that would be grateful.
Greg, are you coming back out of retirement?
I love retirement.
Thank you, Commissioner Rand. Commissioner Sean.
Yeah, I have a question about the Aldrich Arena community events and rentals. How much are the rental fees?
I can speak to that, Commissioner Zhang. It is kind of dependent. There is like a base fee for the building, and I'm not recalling the exact number for that, but then it can be kind of dependent based on the type of participation. So for a concert series, for example, there's like a per person fee where I believe the county gets $1 per person that goes through the door, and then there's the overall building rental fee and so on. So for some events, it's strictly the building rental fee. For others that have like commission sales and things where they might sell food and beverage and things like that, the county will receive a percentage. So I can get you the kind of fees breakdowns because there's a number of them for that facility.
Okay, and do we have like nonprofit rates or just rates that would be accessible to the community?
Sure, I'm thinking that. I think it is just I think there's a base rate but for things like, career fairs and things like that, we can always discount the rate down once the board approves the rental rates, you're not to go exceed that. So I can see, I don't believe there's like a special nonprofit rate, but I can tell you that we're very competitive in the marketplace. And I think that we've seen that we've really looked at this as a community center and, we pay our operational expenses, but as opposed to being a place that's really profit driven, offer very competitive prices for that facility.
Oh, competitive as in like
competitive as in
it's
less
accessible.
expensive than what you would find elsewhere.
Okay, yes. And my other question is about our golf operations. Are we making that accessible too for folks in the community as well, or who may be lower income? Do we have any sort of programs?
Sure.
Like how we do with the ski one?
Commissioner Zhang, I would say that our strategy that we looked at a while ago for the golf courses was kind of creating a tiered system, and so I believe the kind of lower tier level was called a value course. Then there was like a standard or quality, and then a premium course. So Keller Golf Course, for example, is kind of the premium where there is a higher fee. It's nicer grounds. Goodrich Golf Course, Island Lake are the value courses that are priced at a lower level. There's youth programming where there's scholarship available for youth to do golf lessons and things like that. So that's kind of the pricing tiering structure. But otherwise, as far as like scholarshiping, I think that's, tends to be just within the youth programming.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's great to see you, Mr. Williams. It's been fun to talk to you, and we still have to do that biking because he's a biker, and we've said how we want to bike some of our parks. So I just really appreciate your passion and your work here. I think it's great that we're following the board action that we took about our library is to be in the advisory council and all the great work that you're doing as chair of our Parks and Rec Council, and we just appreciate it so much. So thank you. I, as I said, love your passion. I'm very excited about the Fat Tire bikes that you worked on a partnership with Now Sports. That's wonderful, and I have a Fat Tire bike myself, so now I'm going to try those trails, and so thank you for that. Love the work that, of course, all the Parks and Rec has done in all of our parks, have to mention Battle Creek, that we're so excited about that work, and just know that that's going to continue to serve our residents. I rarely can go anywhere without people thanking me for that area in the winter and in the summer, because we know that it's well used, as are all of our parks are well used by our residents. I love the welcoming signs. A number of us were at that, so thanks for that. I'm looking forward to, as some of our legislators have asked, for the naming, for the addition of native names to our park signs. So I know you're working on that, and we're looking forward to that effort. And just want to thank you so much. I do have to ask this question, and it goes to some of the ways that we partner with our city parks, with our municipal areas, because I know that at Lake McCarran's, it's a Ramsey County park, but we've been partnering with the city of Roseville in some programming that their Parks and Rec can do programming on one of our parks. So I would want to know if you want to comment a little more on maybe some of those joint efforts that we have with our cities. And then it goes to my question about pickleball, which of course I can't do a parks, I can't hear a parks workshop without talking about pickleball, because it is the fastest growing sport in the country, and a lot of our seniors play it, and they have to play it carefully because you can get injured at it, but it is a great sport. And I know our cities have tennis courts that I'm trying to get them to restripe or add pickleball. So just talk to me a little bit about, we add some other amenities to our parks. Just what are the ways that we think about adding amenities to our parks? So partnerships with cities and adding other amenities.
Very good question, Commissioner McGuire. So as you all can see, I'm very passionate about fat tire biking because, like I say, it is a gateway for access to winter sports. So I'm also, as a secondary position, an event coordinator. So I set up fat bike advocacy days that were held at Keller and Battle Creek, and that's where I partnered with Now Sports. I am in the process of setting up a fat bike advocacy day in the summer, so fat bikes to ride, and I want to pull our stakeholders and partners in, and that's the whole reason for the advocacy, to raise their awareness level to fat tire biking and the benefits it provides for a gateway sport into winter activities. So with that, I've been working with St. Paul Parks and Rec. I want to eventually, and Endurance United. John Richter from Endurance United and I talk on the regular about a winter festival that we want to host at Lake Phelan, at the Phelan Golf Course, where they groom the cross-country ski trails, and they also connect at the hip with our Keller regional park. So I want to have a fat tire event and winter festival combined and partner with St. Paul Parks and Rec on that. But I've got to do a little convincing, and hence the Fat Bike Advocacy Day. So I definitely love those partnerships because it creates so much synergy, if you will, and great, just a great feeling back and forth. So.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Director McCabe, do you want to talk about pickleball at all?
I can say if you go to a National Park and Recreation Conference and just say the words pickleball in front of a group, that's a punchline. You get a reaction. So if you want to get a cheap laugh, you can say the word pickleball. But so yeah, it is extremely popular, fast growing. It has been kind of a municipal area where we try not to duplicate what the municipalities are doing. I'd say as we're looking at our arenas and multi-purpose use, that's something that kind of putting on the table there is what how could these facilities be utilized otherwise, and could the floors in there be striped and be another opportunity for rental, because like you said, usually the indoor space in the summer is not so popular, but when there's no courts available, it is. So I think just looking at what we have in our system and how that can be accommodated, so that those conversations are happening.
Yeah.
Thank you. And I think it's really important you opened with, we're trying not to duplicate, right?
Exactly.
That we're filling a need and a gap that isn't being met in other spaces. So really important there. And I also wanted to just take the moment to say, Director McCabe chaired our Metro Parks Coalition this year at the legislature, and really great work. And, when we get stopped in other places of the legislature and people brag about you, it's really good. So I just wanted to share that we got that feedback of you did a really great job, and it goes to these conversation of what's happening in the region. So I just wanted to...
Thank you very much. And as you know, team efforts, and appreciate all your work and Greg's and others.
Yes, and on that point, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Of course, Director McCabe, you've been amazing. You're a rock star in the parks area with advocating for our metro parks.
Did you hear that, County Manager?
And your staff, are so amazing.
Supervisors listening.
Yes, I will say that I've been touring around the state doing Association of Minnesota Counties work, and I've been talking to legislators and other county commissioners, and we are all unified in our desire to get the legislature to actually honor their commitments that are in law. So like when we see this 9% of our parks being funded when the law says that not less than 40% should be funded, right. This is not the only formula that's like that. And so I've got some real support from legislators around the state that are saying we just want to pass a law that says the legislature has to honor their legal commitments, honor the commitments that are in law. And they just have to pay for the things that they have already agreed to pay for. Anyway, we're working. I mean, there's a number of people that are interested in this, and you just bring up another huge example of how we need to keep working with our legislators on honoring what they've already passed in law.
Thank you.
I also recommend just sending invoices repeatedly until they
Yeah, that's a great idea too. Yeah.
Any other comments around the table? No, thank you so much, Chair Williams. Really great for your work and your presentation today, and to all the board members who have put in a lot of time, both incoming and outgoing, to be partners to really create a 21st century park system that reflects, as we see in your presentation, our community, both in our employees, but also people participating in our parks. And that's been a big change over the last 5 years. And it is largely in part by our board members as well as our staff. So congratulations. This is a really great State of the Parks address.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, County Manager O'Connor, top that with your county connections this week.
All right. Okay. Challenge accepted. I'm going to start out with a shout out to our property management team. I see some of our folks here today. I specifically want to call out Randy Haggerty and Eric Zaski, Austin Raudebush for their roles in this, but Ramsey County Property Management has been an active participant in various studies and gas and electric rebate programs with our utility vendors the past several years. And so that's led to different energy efficiency projects, some of which you've heard about through budget processes and through committees of the whole. One recent project was completed at the Ramsey County Correctional Facility in Maplewood. As a participant in Xcel Energy's Information Systems Holistic Program, 5 high-pressure steam clothes dryers were replaced with natural gas clothes dryers. This allowed the shutdown of our high-pressure steam boiler that had been serving those dryers. This not only reduced the clothes drying time by 50%, but we no longer then needed to maintain the high-pressure steam boiler system. This got recognized by Xcel Energy as a project to be highlighted at their expo in May. The team received the Recognition of Excellence Award for the gas savings achieved through the project. And just to give you some numbers with it, the project cost $79,000 to implement. There was a rebate for $21,000. And in terms of project benefits, the estimated annual energy savings. So if you think about the rebate, it costs you $60,000 basically to implement the project. The annual energy savings are almost $30,000, just under. So it has a 2-year payback to pay itself back. And then beyond that time, the county will make money off of the change that it made. And just as importantly, it avoids producing 221 tons of CO2 on an annual basis, which is the equivalent of taking 47 cars off the road. So kudos to property management and the team. This is a big deal, and we thank you for your continued work that benefits our operations and also the broader climate and community around us. See, I told you I
Yeah,
could
it's a
top
pretty
it. There
good
you
one.
go. We're off to a
Good.
good
We're
start.
on the path.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Reinhardt.
Just actually, it reminded me of the fact that for our parks, we also, the legislature gave $1 million to the Metropolitan Parks, I believe it's Metropolitan Parks, for emerald ash borer.
Oh.
And work on that as far as removal and different trees being
Right.
planted.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner
Uh,
Reinhardt.
second update, the Commission on Office of Laboratory Accreditation recently awarded Ramsey County was recently a recipient of the COLA Laboratory Excellence Award as a result of our recent survey that was completed May of this year. This award signifies, this is 555 Cedar and the lab that we run through public health. This award signifies the lab's commitment to performing quality patient testing and superior overall practices. The Laboratory Excellence Award is achieved by those laboratories that are compliant with all essential and required criteria at the time of the on-site survey. And award recipients must have demonstrated successful proficiency testing for the prior 3 testing events with no substantiated complaints happening against the laboratory. So from an excellence standpoint, big deal for public health to know that our lab is doing a great job, and this comes during a time of COVID and continued. I think we still have the largest TB outbreak that we continue to manage here in Ramsey County across the country. 2 other updates. You received a memo from me late last week about transforming systems together, 2-year check-in, a letter to community members who have been a part of this work since the beginning. And the memo is an opportunity to thank all of our community members and county leaders who have been a part of this journey since the original implementation of TST that began as a part of the 2018 budget cycle. It highlights some of the specific successes. It talks about where we've been and where the work is going. I just wanted to highlight that you have that. It's an exciting time to get to look back and also think ahead. And our continued work with the Burns Institute, with Director Givens, with community members, and it's just a thank you to everyone who has been a part of this work to date. Finally, AMC submitted 3 workshop proposals to the Association of Minnesota Counties for consideration for the annual workshop, or the annual conference. So just so you're aware of what they are, we'll let you know later on if they're accepted. The first was on centering wellness in responding to 911 calls, a collaborative approach to safety. So this is the Appropriate Responses Initiative work specifically. Our lead here in that submission was Jen Hamrick. Sharing Power, community-driven planning to advance racial equity, with our lead being Prince Corbett. This is a presentation that is similar to what was provided by Ramsey County at the National Forum for Black Public Administrators earlier this year. And then Transforming Procurement, Creative Thinking in a Logical World, with our lead for that submission being Alex Kutza, the Chief Financial Officer. So we'll keep you posted, but all 3 have been submitted. I know you all get those updates and wanted to let you know that our submissions are in. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you, County Manager O'Connor. We'll go to outside board and committee reports, and we're going to start with Commissioner Reinhardt today.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I decided that there was a lot of activity going on last week.
Yes.
I'm going to focus on Thursday because it was a crazy day for me. Well, first of all, we had the Recycling and Energy Board in the morning, and when we talk about the restructure that just went into place as far as the library, even though we didn't need legislative change to make a structure change at the R&E Board, we had a report that was done, and we have made a number of changes. And so we were trying to finalize some of those additions, the executive director position, and how we were going to move forward with that. So it was a really, I think, a very healthy discussion with Washington County. And we are partners in this and have been partners in it since 1984. Mm-hmm. So it's been a long journey, but where we've come from and where we are today is just absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. So moving forward with that. So that was, I thought, a very good meeting and one that is going to move us in the right direction. The second one was I participated in a webinar, Geospatial Data, the Foundation of Truth in Building a Climate Resiliency Strategy. And yes, I had to write it down and read it for you.
because we've talked about the fact that data is so important in everything that we're doing, and climate resiliency is clearly one of those as well, equitable climate resilience. And so it was just basically geospatial professionals and me participating in learning more about that and how we're moving forward and how engaged the geospatial community is as we're trying to tackle the biggest issue of our times. Then right after that was the MELSA, which is the Metropolitan, what is it?
The libraries.
It's the library system. I forgot what the E means. Anyway, and so there were a number of things there as far as legislation, including for the first time in a long time, $4 million for the Regional Library Basic System Support, otherwise known as RLBSS. It went up to $3 million, goes into, or $4 million, excuse me, and so brought it up to $17.57 million. There were a lot of other things that took place for the library system too, and Senator Mary Kunesh just, oh my gosh, she did so much and is looking forward to doing even more, recognizing the importance of accessibility to knowledge and our library systems and everything else that we can do within the libraries. So kudos to her for all of the leadership in that. Then we had the Partnership on Waste and Energy met, and the chair this year is Commissioner Debbie Gottel from Hennepin County, and this is the Recycling and Energy Board, so Commissioner Miron, myself, and Commissioner Gottel from Hennepin County are on this. This is basically the legislative branch of what the previous Solid Waste Management Coordinating Board used to do, and it is doing a fantastic job. It's just some of the things that took place, the SCORE grants, that's the Select Committee on Recycling and the Environment. 3% of the solid waste tax receipts are going to structurally shift to SCORE grants. So that's $14.7 million over 4 years. I'm not going to go into all of the details on these, but it was pretty amazing. Emerald Ash Borer, I mentioned the parks, but we also had $16.562 million to St. Paul Cogen, and really working on the wood waste, and we've already started meetings on how we're going to make that sustainable, because as we all know, the district energy is in the energy business. They took on this additional role, but it's costing them money, and so we've got to try to figure out something that is sustainable. There's a PFAS ban, and the Metropolitan Landfill Contingency Action Trust, MELCAT. This was something that the legislators rated years ago, and this is for closing landfills and trying to make sure that we're doing it in the most environmentally responsible way. And they took the money because they needed money and said they would pay it back, and of course didn't. And so Representative Rick Hansen was a major person moving this forward. So $27.397 million was transferred from the general fund to MELCAT. Beginning in FY 2024, and a transfer of $100,000 from the general fund to MELCAT each year until the fund is restored. Thank goodness. There were capital investment, $26 million for Hennepin County's anaerobic digester project, $10 million for community tree planting projects. The capital assistance program, the limit was raised from $2 million to $5 million per county, and considering some of the things that we've got coming up and the fact that we have been able to take advantage of that in the past has been important. Compostable products and packaging standards, the Digital Fair Repair Act, Pig's Eye Landfill, Resource Management Study, Solar Panel Recycling Study, which is important to me because my solar was just turned on last Tuesday. So it's pretty exciting. MPCA, Resource Management and Assistance. And actually, there were quite a few others as well.
Yeah.
It was a very good year, as I said. The Partnership on Waste and Energy has done a great job, and I don't know if I mentioned it, but Commissioner Gotell, as chair of it, you sign a number of letters that go to the legislature. This year, it was over 50 letters.
Wow.
And of course, we were testifying, and there was a lot that was happening. But the environment and the energy that was spent on trying to make sure we're doing the right things environmentally is heartwarming to see that we're actually doing something instead of just talking about it. Then the final thing, which was very cool, was I was invited to the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency for the permit that was issued for water gremlin. A number of pages long here, but I have to tell you, water gremlin and the TCE ban, Representative Amy Wozlowick was there, and she is now, of course, Commissioner Fretham's aide. But it was very cool for her to be there because the amount of effort that she put into that, the only TCA ban in the country. And this is a really bad chemical, and we had a number of other issues there as well. This has taken 4.5 years to get this in a spot where they issued the permit. They denied the appeal. Not that Water Gremlin doesn't have other options, but hopefully they will be a good neighbor in the community as far as really just getting these things done. Some of the highlights, well, actually just a couple. One was the fact that this is a 5-year permit, and they have moved. One of the learnings that they had from the Water Gremlin project was that they no longer give permits that are never-ending, that they have switched all of their permits to 5-year permits.
Wow.
And obviously there's a partnership with the counties as you go across the state, but they especially called out Ramsey County's partnership in making sure that the testing and the different things that need to go from the county level, the local level, are dealt with in working with Ramsey County, and they've appreciated the work there. They also put in, into the permit was a requirement that the company work with the community neighborhoods, rebuilding trust, and making, and that conversation taking place. The members of the women that led the effort with it, Water Gremlin, neighbors,
Concerned Citizens Group.
Concerned Citizens Group, thank you. I mean, I was there when it was formed. It was like I totally forgot what the initials stood for. The members of that were there, and there, quite frankly, were a lot of tears shed. People that were impacted, lives that were permanently impacted, were there and told their story. And it's one of the most emotional things that I think that I have been through as far as trying to make a major change when you feel like you're up against something that you cannot get your arms around and say, this is wrong. I mean, we can say this is wrong, but to actually keep the nose to the grindstone to make sure that they got this done for the community and for the company, and trying to move forward with this. We will see how it goes, obviously. The work is not done, but we have made history in this country over what has happened at Water Gremlin, and trying to make it a good neighbor and making sure the environment is protected, people's lives are protected. And I'll end with that. I know that was just Thursday.
And that was, all right. It's a snapshot in your week. Thank you so much for your work. Really appreciate it. And special thanks to Amy Wozlowick on her work as well. Commissioner Moran.
So I too had a busy week last week and into the weekend. But I'm gonna open up with, as you guys know, I'm the lead. Is it a liaison or just a lead for workforce? Part of the WIG, the Workforce Innovation Board. And so last week we were able to launch another opera project. So the county and the city plan to launch a new youth and have launched a new youth and young adult employment resource portal that will have videos of diverse leaders outlining their lived experience. As part of this portal, we are investing in six cohorts of young adults who will be the creative media artists that will record those videos. In the first, they call themselves the E3L cohorts. It is a 6-month training program for entrepreneurs from 18 to 25 years old. I had an opportunity to have lunch and just witness these young people and their passion to, and many who at one time may have been homeless, may have different challenges in their lives, who are now entrepreneurs in learning and getting the tools and the training they need right here from Ramsey County. And the goal of the program is twofold. First is to teach the participants new skills, and second is to help educate even more young people on potential job opportunities through the content the cohort themselves will create. For example, this young person, his name is Otiro, he mentioned a group might interview St. Paul area business owners and then edit together a video to show with the community and show to the community. The project also emphasizing networking opportunities as well as mental health support, like meditation sessions, right? Our young people need that. They need a moment. Meditation sessions and therapy for personal growth for each participant. They were also all given they were all provided technology equipment. They are going to be located, there's the building, this 370 building, right over on Wabasha, which is a wonderful, wonderful building. Really inviting open space for young people to come and have an office space that they can utilize as they look at creating their own business. So they all get that. And these 6 cohorts, the first one launched on last Tuesday, I believe. And they will have 5 other cohorts until 2026. I love this program, right? Because we can't do something once and say, oh, job is done, right? And I think Representative Reinhardt, you talked about data and the importance of having data to really inform how something is working or how we need to work on something. This will allow them to do that and show us the impact of these young people developing the skills they need to be self-sufficient. And we talk about public safety. Wow, what a way to create public safety in the city of St. Paul. Also, I was thrilled to have the opportunity to gather a group and hold my first town hall meeting in my district at Hallie Coup Brown with a group of community leaders. And I thought this was important for a couple of things. I know often we have nonprofit organizations who are doing like awesome work back in the community, transforming young people's lives. And often they are sometimes the best kept secret. No one knows about it besides those who are engaged in the community and know them. So I thought it was important, one, for the county to see them and to know the work that they are doing to really transform our youth's lives and the lives of family. But it was also important for community leaders to see the great work that Ramsey County is doing. And so they had an opportunity. I partnered with Lean Becker, who was like, Ryan, we're so fortunate to have Lean Becker. I tried to hold back and I talk about it and say it too often, but the transformational work that she is doing and how she is engaging the dollars that has been given to her, along with the dollars through ARPA, A-R-P-A, you got it. With those dollars that has allowed to really to be creative in our work and to take some chances and take some risks and not do what we have always done. It is happening within WIG. And so it was important, right, twofold for our local nonprofits of color to see the county and to know the work they do and to partner and find ways to partner, find ways to expand the work that we see that needs to be done, and maybe be a little bit more creative in doing that and partner with local folks to do it. Because it's really, when we look at who are the trusted leaders, it's usually those in the community who's doing this work, who has built those relationships, and not necessarily Ramsey County, because there are some people who don't trust government, think government may be the best, advocate for our communities. We need those partnerships. So it was a great turnout. I don't know how many people showed up, maybe about 35, 40, a really great group of individuals who are doing great work. And so this is like a part one meeting, right, to just do those initial highlights and engagement and connections, and hopefully to come back and have them also to look at how they can do their work in partnership with each other. Because I think sometimes we are doing individual partnerships and we're duplicating work. So I think it's really good to see what's all out there, what those works that we are doing, and then how to have the greatest impact with the work that we're doing. I also had an opportunity to visit, I don't know if you guys have heard of Clubhouse.
Yes.
Okay, we all know about Clubhouse and the awesome work that they're doing. Myself and Representative Zone did a tour of the Clubhouse. Was that Maple?
In Hopkins.
In Hopkins, okay, in Hopkins. And for those who don't know about the Clubhouse offers people living with mental illness opportunities for friendship, employment, housing, education, and access to services in a single, caring, and safe environment. This is a socioeconomic inclusion reverses their alarming, by doing this, the socioeconomic inclusion reverses their alarming trends of higher suicide, hospitalization, and incarceration rates associated with mental illness. And it was just really refreshing to see the partnership that happens with staff and the individuals who have been dealing with mental illness, and have them share their stories about the impact that the Clubhouse has had on them. And I mean, many have been suffering for years in isolations, and that's a place that they can come and see value and feel value in part of the planning, and just really build good, strong relationships. So that was really, really awesome to hear personally from those who are utilizing those services. And then last, I was busy with Juneteenth weekend. Community started off on Friday with the community peace celebration at the Western Sculptural Park. Shout out to Melvin Giles and his leadership who have continuously focused on peace and peace poles in St. Paul, and all the vendors and community members that came out to celebrate. I don't know about you guys, but connecting to community, because sometimes we hear all the negative news, but to be in the space and see young people, diverse organizations, diverse group of individuals, the library, just organizations showing up right in the neighborhood, what some would call the hood, and see the peace, to see the joy, to see people cooking and eating together and just having a good time. And this is what this whole weekend was about, just seeing that over and over and over again, was just breathtaking for me to just see that happen. Went to a fundraiser for Save Our Son with Melvin Carter, who again is supporting our young African-American boys and young men. Another Juneteenth event that happened that was hosted and supported in a big way by Ramsey County and members of the Black Excellence Group, who had a big, from bouncy things for young children, from face painting, to giving out food, to vendors, to music. At Allianz Field, outdoors, it was just an awesome, warm, engaging, inviting, just a good time event. Then I went over to, same day, to Jimmy Lee's and participate in the Juneteenth event there, hosted by Johnny Allen, who is the executive director of the JK movement, along with myself being there. Congresswoman Betty McCullen was there, Representative Samakan Hussein, Representative Maria Isa Perez, Councilmember Russell Ballinger, Debbie Montgomery, Robin Hippen, just to name a few. Just people coming out showing support for the work that is happening right in the community to really create safe and thriving environments for our young kids. And then I ended the day with the NWC Gala at the International Hotel right here in St. Paul on the riverfront. Just a really, really moving event, from the clubhouse to community leaders to hosting my first townhouse as a Ramsey County Commissioner. I remember. and just making these connections and partnerships is just a really good week and weekend.
Awesome, good work, Commissioner Moran. Commissioner Zhang. I'll just note that we are at 10:15, so close to workshop time. So just not to cut you off, but we went a little long, so thanks.
That's great. Since Commissioner Reinhardt and Commissioner Moran had mentioned a lot of the meetings and events too, I just want to thank you for your leadership and attention to the issues, as well as being out in the community. Commissioner Moran, that brought me so much joy just listening to you share that report, so thank you so much. Last week I had an opportunity to meet with St. Paul Public Housing Authority. Got the big intro, but then also talked about a lot of like the legislative ones too. And this completely fell under the radar, but there was like $76 million in public housing that the state allocated in cash and GO bonds. So that means there's more opportunity, like even statewide, for the state to invest in public housing infrastructure that the federal government has not been funding for the last several years. So I just wanted to flag that, and also in considering and thinking about like how we can do more like a housing report or like a full workshop in a way that I would like to request. And that we look at what this means, because these are historic investments into housing. And I'm not asking for a full change in our strategy, but just more so about how things are fitting in, just because we have big development opportunities here at the county as well. So I just wanted to flag that and just name that those were the big ones that I've been thinking about like how we build more housing. And that's what I hear across too, it's just that we need more housing. And then the other one, I wanted to share just a reflection about the Vail House and just what I heard back from the clubhouse is just a sense of community. Like there were people there who had been there for even decades who keep coming, and also people from even from the southern parts, and also from places where the counties wouldn't invest in clubhouses. And to me, that just means like I'm just so fortunate to be in a space where I have community. But for other folks, like they can't have that community, and they have to drive so far just to find community. So I just wanted to just share that reflection about how community makes such a big difference in our lives and how important it is. And then the final thing I wanted to share. Sorry, gotta go back to my calendar. We are working on bringing together, we as in Director Lingbecker, Councilmember Nelsie Yang, we hosted the Eastside Summit, and we did a kind of a debrief and a follow-up. And we are still realizing and recognizing that even though we put a lot of folks into training, there are still a lot of barriers to jobs in the trades, and also in many different industries too. And that no matter how much we invest in these training programs, if private companies won't hire them, it creates a challenge. So we are going to bring and convene conversations with folks from St. Paul Building and Trades, and also trades, to talk about how, one, like we can kind of create like a one-stop shop piece to funnel folks into the training, but then also to build in that infrastructure, like how we get people to the actual jobs. So that's something I wanted to share with you all, and Commissioner Moran, I would be happy to have you as a part of those conversations since you are on the WIB. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jean. Commissioner McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I know you want us to move on, but I just want to say how much I appreciate these updates. It fills my soul as well that we hear about all the great work that's being done, that we celebrate the partnerships that we all have, and so I just really appreciate that we do take this time, and I'll try to be brief and not take more time than I need, but I do think it's great to celebrate and to learn what all of our amazing colleagues are doing out in the community, because we all can do as much as we can, but we can't do it all. So it's great to hear the work that everyone is doing. Just want to, on the clubhouse, because most of us, I think all of us now have visited a clubhouse, and I just thank you, Madam Chair, for setting up a task force to look at that. And I was able to announce that at Ramsey County NAMI a couple weeks ago at their luncheon, and they're very excited about setting up a task force to look at this. So thank you, Commissioner Moran and John, for going on that tour. Also want to say that as far as the housing dollars or the shelter dollars and housing dollars, that AMC has an intern now that's going to be working on some of this to sort of help counties sort of realize what they can do with these dollars. So I'm just grateful to AMC and also grateful to NACO that we're all members of our National Association of Counties does these phone calls on Zoom that talk to us about what's going on at the federal level, which really helps us. And a shout out to our staff, because there was a White House briefing on the newly released Treasury guidance on Inflation Reduction Act funds. And we had members of our finance team, Alex Kutz's finance team, and Melissa Finnegan, for sitting in on those calls where we are really embracing and trying to get as much as we can out of the federal government. I mean, they've got a lot going on, and we are, embracing and learning as much as we can do for that. I also have to, I want to talk about our Juneteenth celebration, which I did after I did I went to the Save Our Sons fundraiser as well, that Melvin Carter is the founder of, and that was just a great event at Melvin and Tony's house. But the Juneteenth celebration, we had one out in Roseville. Shout out to Do Good Roseville and the city of Roseville who really put that together. Our Senator Claire Verbatim spoke, and a number of speakers. We had entertainment. We had great food. Shout out to Ramsey County Library in Roseville, who was present there, the Roseville Police Department, School District, League of Women Voters. We had ML Fairview, so many supporters, and it was just a great event to celebrate all the great work. We had a lot of Black vendors that were there that were just showing the things that they're doing, and it was just a great celebration of community. So thanks to that effort. This week, I'm leaving this afternoon to make my to go to Washington, D.C. to make my NACO appointment, so that's exciting. And as incoming president, I get to appoint the committee chairs and board members for our national association, so that's going to be important work. Also want to say that this Thursday, Taste of Rose Fest is one of our biggest fundraisers for the Roseville Area Rotary, and it's also, we give money back to the community. This is a great event. It's with thanks to all of our vendors and our retailers, our restaurants that actually donate all of their time and food for this effort, and it's just a great event. It's at the Roseville Arboretum, and it's Thursday night. So if anyone wants to go, they can contact my office or just look on the website for Roseville Rotary. Also, Friday's our AMC board meeting, so Commissioner Castillo and I will be at that. Next Monday is Active Living Ramsey Communities. We'll have our quarterly meeting, and shout out to Connie Bernardi, who's having a great agenda for that. And with that, I will say that Rose Fest is having their annual parade on Monday night as well. So festivals galore, as we all know. We're all celebrating all of our community festivals. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner McGuire. All really good and important reports, so thank you. Commissioner Ortega.
No report,
Awesome. And Commissioner Fretham, and I didn't forget to come back around.
Yeah. I'll be brief, but I wasn't here last week because I was speaking at the American Legion Girls State event to female students who had just completed their junior year of high school, learning about local and state government. So I got to speak on their county day about county government and what we do and what does it mean to be a county commissioner. I also just want to share back some gratitude from Mounds View for the proclamation I was able to present at Mayor Al Hall's memorial event on June 9th. His wife Tasha was very grateful, as well as Councilmember Sherry Gunn and Acting Mayor Gary Mielhaus. So thanks everyone for helping me put that on. And otherwise, great Head Start Parent Council Board Picnic Saturday, June 10th. A lot of other meetings, but I know we've got a lot to do and many of them have been covered. So I'll leave it at that.
Awesome. Thank you, Commissioner Fretham. I just want to share really quickly, because everything else was covered through the week, but I am now the co-chair of the State Treatment Court Initiative Council, which has been ongoing. It covers treatment courts, so if you think about drug court or veterans court in particular, the largest part of the conversation is just like we have now legalized cannabis use, there's an impact as it rolls down to the courts as we think about both expungements, but also people in addiction and how that plays out and when it's legal use versus not. And so there's a lot of work going on just to try to understand how this plays out in treatment courts in particular, or veterans courts, and there's different rules in different counties. And so to think about how we work on that. And additionally, kind of at the last minute and at the end of the legislative session, there was money put into treatment courts, which was unexpected. So there's suddenly a new pot of money for the expansion of treatment courts or for the existing treatment courts to be able to go further. So work happening along that route as well. And then, so we are going to now adjourn. We're going to go into a board workshop. We'll take a 5-minute break and then get started right away. And this is on voting systems and election night results reporting. This is a really great, exciting topic each year, and Commissioner Ortega will chair it for us. With that, we are adjourned.